Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:07 on this Tuesday, 16th day of September in your nation's capital. Thanks for tuning in to O'Connor and Company as we plod through the news cycle and try to keep focused on what matters most to you and make sense of all the rest of it. Coming up at 7:05, Cully Stimson of Heritage Foundation. We'll also, at 7:35, talk to Reagan Reese, White House correspondent for Daily Caller. 8:05 brings us Bill O'Reilly. Billo. Do you think that we will have a no-spin zone here when Bill O'Reilly is here, Julie? Should we attempt to have an open zone? I think we should. He might call me a pinhead. We shall see. 8:35, Justin Keener. Should we do like some sort of contest as to whether he calls me a pinhead or not?
I would. I'll put some money on it.
Would you? There's money involved. Now you're talking. Yesterday, President Trump signed a memorandum establishing Memphis Safe Task Force that will make the city safe again. Task Force will be a replica of the Washington, D.C. model, and he said equally successful. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The task force will be a replica, as I said, and it's going to be, I think, equally successful. This is a tremendous success we've had in Washington, I can tell you, and everyone knows it. And people in the White House that work here and other people that I know are calling me and thanking me. They're going out to dinners. They're doing things that they haven't done in years. The effort will include the National Guard as well as the FBI, ATF, DEA, ICE, Homeland Security investigations, and the U.S. Marshals, and more along the prosecutors. We're going to have DOJ led by U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee.
Now, it's fascinating. This is a great move, and my understanding is that people in Memphis are actually quite excited about this because, you know, they're living in a crime-ridden city. This is also a red state, Tennessee, although Memphis, of course, like all major American cities, is a blue city run by a Democrat mayor who has allowed this to fester, although my understanding is that the mayor of Memphis is not necessarily against this move either. So you would think that everybody would be happy about this, right? Right?
You'd think.
That's where you'd be wrong. And remember, the argument against Donald Trump was, oh, well, why are you only threatening to do this in places like Illinois or California or Washington, D.C.? Why don't you go to a red state? Well, here we are. He's going to a red state. Oh, why don't you put the extra law enforcement into neighborhoods of color? It's only the white neighborhoods, which is a lie. Only white neighborhoods in D.C., but not any black neighborhoods. Okay, well, first of all, there was an increased police presence big time in black neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., number one. But number two, Memphis is a predominantly black city. And he is, in fact, deploying the police there as well, which you would think actually addresses that complaint as well. No, I actually heard Michael Steele, Maryland man, Michael Steele, was on MSNBC this weekend, and he was suggesting that there was something nefarious about Trump choosing Memphis. Here, I'll let you hear it from his own mouth. Here, take a listen.
And if it was beyond our capacity, sir, then maybe we would call for federal help. But so I don't understand what's different. It wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that Memphis is a largely black municipality, would it?
Yeah. Did you hear that? Yeah. Why is he doing this to Memphis? Why did he pick Memphis? Oh, it wouldn't be because it's a largely black city. What has happened to this person? What has happened to Michael Steele?
He's been terrible for years. I mean, he profits off of it. Look at how well he's doing on MSNBC, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. But, you know, this is the Trump can't win situation that we're in right now.
Yeah. No matter what. I mean, it's the same thing. You remember Katrina, right? Like, you know, if Bush was blamed for not going into Katrina early enough, right? But if he had gone into a predominantly black community, overriding the black mayor and the governor of Louisiana, then it would have been like, oh, he's racist. He's taking over, you know, a black city. And then he doesn't go in. He respects that and says, okay, they're going to work it out on there. They want to work it out. Fine, let them. And then he's blamed in the aftermath after the black mayor actually encouraged people not to leave. So, I mean, it's just the same thing.
Here's Tennessee State Representative Pearson, who appeared on Nicole Wallace's show on MSNBC. It's like MSNBC bends over backwards to find disgruntled, angry Democrats. I just want to repeat, Trump is working in cooperation not just with the governor of Tennessee, but with the mayor of Memphis. He's going through all the elected officials, and they are working together to do this as a partnership to help the crime problem. But MSNBC found this one guy.
Pearson, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, look, we do not want to see our community being occupied by the military, and we don't want to see over-policing. The solution to the problems that are being articulated is not to increase the number of police, it's to increase the number of resources to actually reduce poverty, to actually educate our population, our children, for the opportunities of the future, and it's to make sure that people have a living wage so that some of the crimes that they commit literally for the need to survive do not happen. We know that gun violence is one of the most significant issues and epidemics in our country. I got expelled because of it. Right? Children under 18 are most likely to die from a bullet than cancer or car accidents. That means laws have to change at the state level. That Governor Bill Lee, Speaker Sexton, Lieutenant Governor Rand McNally need to work on to reduce the amount of access people have to firearms, and that reduces ultimately the amount of crimes that get committed. But you can't pass laws that say, hey, it's okay for you to have guns in your car, and then you complain about people breaking into cars for the firearms that they find there. We have to deal with the systemic root causes of the problems, and black communities should not be the place and the pawns for an authoritarian, wannabe dictator, white supremacist game.
There you go. Donald Trump is a white
supremacist. Got all the words
in,
didn't he?
This is a white supremacist move. Authoritarian, wannabe dictator. Black community shouldn't be the place for pawns in that game, that white supremacist game. There you go. So this man would rather just have the black residents of Memphis continue to murder each other than have any sort of law enforcement going on there. But
and you know, Larry, when you go onto the streets, when you talk to people in these communities, these men on the street, which of course the media doesn't do, but occasionally you'll have a right-wing outlet, right-wing, I can't believe that. I mean, I need to stop saying this. You know, a media source that is, you know, thought to be on the right, going into these communities and interviewing these people, man on the street kind of interviews. And by and large, people say, I welcome this. I mean, it's the same thing that we're seeing in D.C., where even, you know, influencers, not realizing that maybe they might sound MAGA when they say it, will say things like, oh, the city's so clean, it's so nice, I feel so safe. People like, and look, during the George Floyd years and the defund the police years, who suffered the most? People in these black communities where crime surged.
That's right.
So it's really too bad that
well, they're
the
just
narrative continues.
Again, at a time, I just want to keep reiterating this. At a time when the Michael Steeles and Nicole Wallaces and the people who run these networks like MSNBC continue to say, you know, this was a problem on both sides, and why can't we just set aside our political differences, figure out what we have in common, move along? That's Donald Trump, working with the governor of Tennessee and working with the Democrat mayor of Memphis, set aside their political differences, set aside party politics, and said, hey, people are dying in Memphis. What can we do to help, Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor worked with the president, worked with the governor, came up with a solution to increase law enforcement in a city that has the second highest murder rate, third highest actual murders, third highest percentage, fifth highest actual number of violent crimes in their city. They're doing something to fix it and reaching across party lines to do it. And what does he get for it? He's called a white supremacist and a wannabe dictator on MSNBC. You cannot win, and they will only be happy if the murders continue. But as long as there's a Democrat in the White House who protects their ability to kill unborn babies, then everything is fine and they have their freedoms again. The president was also asked yesterday at this signing ceremony about designating Antifa as a terror group. We're going to share his answer about that coming up in just a moment. First, though, 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So yesterday, as he was doing the signing ceremony, activating this plan to help send federal law enforcement reinforcements to the city of Memphis, he was asked by a reporter about the notion that Antifa might be designated as a terror organization Take a listen to the question and answer.
Given with all the that's going on with Charlie Kirk's assassination and the left-wing, a lot of left-wing violence going on, do you have plans, and actually this is a great opportunity with all these, do you plan on designating Antifa finally a domestic terror organization?
Well, it's something I would do, yeah. If I have support from the people back here, I think we'd start with Pam, I think. But I would, if you give me, I would do that 100%. And others also, by the way. But Antifa is terrible.
Are there other groups that you can make up?
There are other groups, yeah. There are other groups. We have some pretty radical groups, and they got away with murder. And also, I've been speaking to the Attorney General about bringing RICO against some of the people that you've been reading about that have been putting up millions and millions of dollars for agitation. These aren't protests. These are crimes, what they're doing,
right.
Where they're throwing bricks at cars of ICE and Border Patrol.
Yeah, and he went on to talk about the coordination that it appears to see when there are these protests and they're all dressed in the same clothes with the same protective gear and the same weapons and shields, and they all use the same tactics, and then they have hammers and they break the sidewalk and use the concrete slabs that they've broken off as rocks to hurl at police and innocent people and to break windows of people's stores, and just the violence, that we've seen all over the place sure seems like terrorist activity.
And it is coordinated.
And it sure seems coordinated. The question is who's coordinating, and it seems funded. So who's coordinating it and who's funding it? And that's what Trump was trying to get at, the root money here, and try to have a RICO plan there, number one. But number two, can you define Antifa as a terror organization? And the big question here is, how organized is it? That's the question. And I asked that question because I don't know the answer to it, and I don't know if that's necessary, right? I remember when we were told that you can't have a war on terror or you can't define Al-Qaeda because Al-Qaeda is really multiple organizations that are all, well, that's how the mob works. That's how these gang warfare entities work, is that they always keep themselves sort of split up and undefinable. That doesn't mean you can't go after them.
And it doesn't mean that there isn't a group, a coalition of groups funding this disparate group of activists, right? I mean, that's what's important. Like, yes, look. Have you looked at Antifa? Have you looked at the mugshots? I mean, I'm not surprised these guys aren't well organized, right? But the point is they're getting funded. They're getting funded. If there is one group funding, a handful of these Antifa groups, look, they were, and also, as we dismissed them, they did take over downtown Seattle, for a considerable amount of time. They have terrorized speakers on college campuses with effectiveness. So, I think they might be loosely organized, but again, they're not when it comes to funding. Someone is funding these groups, right. And we know that there are some prominent left-wing groups, and I think it is worth an investigation into how much because they know that it's going to turn violent, and they don't care. These funders don't care.
Well, and the question is, does it need to be some sort of... We kept hearing that from... Remember when Christopher Wray was the FBI director, asked about Antifa, and I believe he said something like, Antifa is more of an idea. What does that mean? What a pathetic loser that guy was. How organized does Antifa need to be? Why is that even a prerequisite to label them a domestic terror organization? It seems like it's low-hanging fruit here when you look at what Antifa does and what Antifa represents and what they've been able to effectively do. Look at the great reporting work that Andy Ngo has been able to do as an investigative reporter and uncovering who they are and what they do and what their tactics are. It's a real thing. The question is, legally, what can the Justice Department do? And also, what does it mean if, in fact, they say, okay, they're now a terrorist organization? What does that mean in terms of their ability to stop them or go after people and levy heavier charges against them at the federal level?
And really quickly, Larry, and you mentioned Andy Ngo. He's been doing some great reporting on these trans groups that are actually training trans people, to arm themselves, and he talked to Andy knows revealed some groups that have murdered that like trans identified people who have murdered people, and they're these roaming gangs that have gone across the country. I mean, it's really scary stuff. So I think that too, also, like, what has the funding trickled down to these groups that are really radicalizing trans people and arming them and urging them to be violent against the right. So, I mean, when you look at the number of shootings associated with trans people, that I think it is important to look at where this money's coming from.
All right. So these protesters who show up, they're all dressed in their black armor. They've got umbrellas to keep security cameras from identifying them. Yep. They've all got the same hats. They've all got the same helmets. They've all got the same shields and batons and weapons. They use skateboards to slam them. They're all seem to be trained in the same way, using the same outfits, the same materials, the same tactics. It's Antifa. We know what they look like. They've even got a flag, so they got to be that much organized to have a logo going for them. Can you call them a terrorist organization, and what legally does that then mean? We will ask all of those questions at 7:05 of Cully Stimson. Right now it's 6:23.
Coming up, the vice president did Charlie Kirk's podcast yesterday, and he said, I am done with unity. We'll tell you all about it. Keep it here. It's 6:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in to our little morning attempt. Every morning we do this. We attempt to sort of make sense of the daily news that's been handed to us. Usually we do a pretty good job of it. Sometimes we're still left dumbfounded. I don't know what the hell's going on. But things have become a lot clearer for all of us after the events of last week. Joining us at 7:05, Cully Stimson will address this issue of calling Antifa a terrorist organization and what that really looks like. 7:35, Reagan Reese, White House correspondent for Daily Caller. 8:05, Bill O'Reilly will join us. And then at 8:35, Justin Keener, president of Americans for Public Safety. I'm Larry O'Connor, and that right there is Julie Gunlock. Hey, Blondie. How you doing
today?
Good
morning.
Oh, my goodness. I have one quick message for J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, best-selling author, a multimillionaire investor, Marine Corps veteran, and Yale graduate, who yesterday spent his afternoon as a radio talk show host, filling Charlie Kirk's seat for the first major broadcast day after his assassination. Vice President J.D. Vance, I like you a lot. I admire you. Stay in your lane, pal. Stay in your lane. There's already enough competition in our industry. I don't need to deal with you. I don't need to deal with you in the rearview mirror, because he was actually very good.
He was good.
And it was a great way to tribute Charlie Kirk in his memory. Of course, as has been documented, J.D. Vance actually struck up a very good friendship with Charlie Kirk even before he ran for Senate in Ohio. And Vance was brilliant in going after the lies that have been told about his friend. And I want you to hear a little bit of it. Here's cut 16. It's a lengthy one, but a good one.
Consider the level of propaganda at work. Charlie was gunned down in broad daylight, and well-funded institutions of the left lied about what he said so as to justify his murder. This is soulless and evil. But I was struck not just by the dishonesty of this smear, but by the glee over a young husband's and young father's death. Quote, she says, he was an unrepentant racist, transphobe, homophobe, and misogynist. The Nation wrote, who often wrapped his bigotry in Bible verses because there was no other way to pretend that it was morally correct. He had children, as do many vile people. That's what they said. He had children, as do many vile people. Now, hours before this smear was published, my wife and I had the honor of escorting Charlie's body back to his home in Arizona. We took his wife, Erica, we love you, his parents, his sister, and a few of his best friends with us. And as they offloaded Charlie's casket from Air Force Two, I worried that Erica would collapse with grief. Now, I'm a very lucky husband to a very wonderful wife, But I have never been prouder of my wife than that moment as she held Erica in Erica's very darkest hour. And I thought of Erica as I read that disgusting attack on Charlie. He had children, as do many vile people. That's what they said about him. I said the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I asked Usha what Erica had said to her earlier in the day in a private moment, and I asked Erica's permission to share this. My wife told me, she asked me for advice. Erica asked me for advice on how she should tell her children that their father had been murdered. She asked my wife how to tell her beautiful kids that their father and my dear, very dear friend is no longer with us. And as she was doing it, there were people dancing on that father's grave.
Powerful stuff. And directed. Should I have given you a hanky warning again?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. A hanky warning. It's kind of emotional, actually. That was the premise for then his sort of follow-up message, because there have been so many calls for unity. He wanted to describe exactly who we were dealing with here. Mm-hmm. Those same people who just said those vile things, then immediately call for unity. Well, here's J.D. Vance on all that unity talk.
There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years.
It was good stuff. And J.D. Vance, I think, delivered a message that a lot of us were hoping to hear. And clearly he's been listening to this program, Julie. Glad we could do some show prep for you there, Mr. Vice President. No, it was a great job, a magnificent performance, in fact, and we're very proud, as I have been since the day he debated Tim Walz. I am very proud to call that man my vice president. It's 6:43.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Seriously, stay in your lane, J.D. Vance. Why do we need all of these people jumping on board with more podcasts and radio shows? Doesn't he have a job?
You are so jealous.
Famously, the vice president does not have a job. He literally has nothing to do all day long. He's the perfect candidate for a podcast.
Are you trying to get him to never come on our show?
Yes. Remarkable occurrence here with the Daily Beast, an odious website, the Daily Beast. It's just a rag. And the Daily Beast is one of those websites, the most prominent of the websites, that reprinted these allegations from Michael Wolff. Now, Michael Wolff he just writes trash, right? This guy is a known fabricator and plagiarist, my understanding. Or, excuse me, not plagiarist. Fabricator. And who was the woman who used to write all of these tell-all biographies where people would tell her secrets anonymously about, like, Elizabeth Taylor and Joan Collins?
Nancy French.
Was it Nancy? No, I think sure, let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Let's go with that. Anyway, that's what Michael Wolff is like that for politics. And
Kitty Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
Kitty Kelly.
That's right. The Sinatra
and Nancy
book.
French.
Remember that? Right. So the Daily Beast recently published a story. The headline was Melania Trump very involved in Epstein scandal, author. So that's what they do. They say, well, this author is making the claim. All we're doing is reporting.
I didn't say it. Right.
Oh, we're just reporting what this author said. Michael Wolff has said this. Now, Michael Wolff is the person who has claimed that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Donald Trump to Melania Trump. And there is some allegation, number one, that she was in the country illegally and that she was basically selling herself, sexually prostituting herself to stay in the country, and that this Jeffrey Epstein was part of that ring, and that's how Donald Trump met her. Now, you'll remember that Melania Trump threatened people who were repeating that lie, including the Daily Beast, with a massive lawsuit and demanded they retract and apologize. And yesterday, the Daily Beast retracted and apologized.
There you go.
I do love this part. Upon reflection, we've determined that the article did not meet our standards and has therefore been removed from our platforms. In response to a letter from the First Lady's attorneys, the Daily Beast has also removed a portion of an episode of the Daily Beast podcast titled Trump's Epstein Scandal Can't Stop, Won't Stop. God, they're so bad.
God,
referencing the First Lady. The First Lady points to her best-selling book, Melania, as the definitive account of her life story. We apologize to the First Lady and our readers. I just want to go back for a moment here. Upon reflection, we have determined that the article did not meet our standards.
Yeah. This is supposed to happen before it's published, people.
The whole point of having standards is before you hit the publish button, you make sure that the content lives up to your standards. They don't have any standards. They have zero standards.
Watergate turned these journalists into these sort of, movie stars, really. It did. And they've all been looking for that Watergate moment ever since. All of them. They all want that Watergate moment. And go ahead.
Yeah. And they haven't. They haven't been looking for a Watergate moment because they had a Watergate moment in the last presidency and they all willfully ignored it and didn't report on it. They had the biggest presidential scandal of all time and they wouldn't report on it.
Yes, but they want it's always one way. We get that, right? And you think about back in those days with Ben Bradley. I mean, there were editorial standards back then. It was cracking at that point.
Right.
But there are zero editorial standards now at these publications, at these left-wing publications.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's true. Also, Trump announced yesterday he's suing the New York Times for $15 billion.
Oh, I love it.
It's 6:52.
Making sense of your world.
There are a lot of things that really tick me off.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.